And Venezuela, in their process of actually constructing and building socialism, has contributed a lot to Marxist theory and debates about Marxist theory. And there are lots of Chavistas in Venezuela who have published things that are very interesting, made innovations in Marxist theory, made bold claims. And like you said, it's not like Hugo Chavez wasn't a Marxist-Leninist. He might have called himself a Marxist, but he mostly just identified as a socialist and anti-imperialist. Even though he's not a staunch Marxist-Leninist who's read every work of Marxist-Leninist theory, he still contributed to Marxist-Leninist theory by trying to create a worker state, by creating an anti-imperialist socialist worker state in Venezuela that tries to feed people and teach people to read and build hospitals and schools and create common prosperity for the masses and kick out Western capital. And there are tons of debates between the people who are Marxist-Leninists, the people who are Marxists on the ground, the grassroots organizers. They have great analyses of their own system, and they have great takeaways and theoretical lessons that we should learn from it. So here's an example that I had pulled up the other day to actually talk about this very thing: an alternative to capitalist hierarchies, a conversation with this co-op. So, there's lots of debates among Marxist theoreticians about co-ops. Co-ops are useless because they leave the market system and profit intact. Or co-ops are good. We should look to have more co-ops. And, it's better to have a co-op than a top-down authoritarian business where everybody, has to just listen to one guy or the managerial staff. So it's a move towards socialism. It's a transition. These are debates that are constantly being had. But in Venezuela, where they're actually trying to create a socialist project, they're providing evidence and they're providing, real facts and real material experience of the working class to inform these debates. Right? These debates are much more fruitful if we can point to actual experiences, point to actual co-ops that exist in socialist countries and say, how is this working? How is this structured? What can we learn from this going forward? How can we make this better? What should we criticize about this? What are the issues? And Venezuela has contributed to that so much. And I always come back to this too when I talk about the way that existing socialist countries learn from each other and contribute to theory by actually constructing socialism. If you are one of these liberal pseudo-Marxists who says, yeah, I'm a Marxist and a communist, but socialism and communism and Marxism have failed every time they've been tried, you're completely missing out on this debate. You're isolating yourself from the debate between genius Marxist theoreticians about what works and what doesn't. If you read Mao and, if you read the debate within the Communist Party of China, and if you read Mao, what they were doing in the very first years of the Chinese Revolution, they're constantly looking at the Soviet Union. They are constantly saying, here's what the Soviet Union did, here's what worked and what didn't, here's how our situation is different, here's how we're going to do something different, here's our plan. And that continues to today. Any Marxist in the global South or in an actual Marxist or socialist country uses the theory and the experience of the working class in other Marxist socialist projects to inform their analysis, to inform their theory. And if you just, in the West, we're like, nope, I can literally just block all that off. Soviet Union evil, China evil, Cuba evil, they've done nothing, I'm going to ignore them all. Like, you're missing out on so much. Like, it's not to say that these places are perfect. Of course they're not perfect. Of course no country is perfect. But how are we going to learn from their mistakes if we just call them evil, say they never achieved anything, even though China literally eradicated poverty and every socialist country has seen massive increases in standard of living, and then just not learn anything from them? So this is a theory. I mean, the Western left is missing out on understanding and contributing to theoretical debates and historical debates between Marxists all around the world. So we need more proletarian internationalism. Period. So yeah, when right wingers tell you that you're a socialist, why don't you look into the history of socialism? You actually should. They're dumb and wrong, and they're saying you should look into the history of socialism on Wikipedia and see, oh, Stalin killed 1 million people by eating all the grain with a giant spoon. I guess I'm not a socialist anymore. You shouldn't do that. You should go outside of Wikipedia, but actually study the history of socialism, right? And you'll learn a lot, and you'll see that this idea that socialism's never achieved anything is laughable.